And Rich Trapper tapping in, TNN Trap News Network. You feel me?
Rich Trapper.
The homie wanted you to whitelist this shit too.
Who?
Rich Trapper.
Rich Trapper?
He be reacting to your shit.
What's the deal, y'all? We're Trapper tapping in TNN Trap News Network. We back in action with another reaction video. Back in this thing. Like, cracking this thing, man. Like, comment, subscribe for more of this good content we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network, man. Make sure y'all get into that. Make sure y'all get into that. Hit the subscribe button, become part of this Rich Trapper Mafia. Hit that notification bell at the top. Hit all stay tapped in for the latest and the greatest. What we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. News you can use, some knowledge though. You can't get in college though, big dog. Find me on our streaming platforms. Get into that if you ain't got into that. You feel me? What else am I gonna say, y'all? Something to fuck on, man. That's my newest single. Get into that if you ain't got into that, man. Something to fuck on is my newest single. Out now on all streaming platforms, man. Something to fuck on. Get into that if you haven't gotten into that, man. Find me on all streaming platforms. You also want to get into these. Signature Honey Raps by T.I., man. Signature Honey Cigars. Shout out to T.I. Shout out to Signature. Not intended for minors. Sweet honey aromatic flavors. Make sure you get into these. If you ain't got into these, man. They got the Boosties. They got the Little Dirks. They got the Chief Keefs. But you want the T.I.s, man. Get into these, man. Signature Honey Cigars. Also get into these tasty. Bow. You feel me? Get my on real quick. Tasty live resin disposable cartridges. Premium category 3 distillate. No pesticides, heavy metals like a rock band. No glucose, glycerin, MCT, or any other vitamin E or additives. 5 1,000 milligram cartridges with each one. We are giving away $250. Let me show y'all how we can get the $250, man. The first 50. Break it down real quick. May the 12th, Sunday, May the 12th. You want to be involved in this live music review. It's at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, TRAP, NEWS, NETWOR, X Trap News Network. You want to get involved in that. Make sure you slide in my Instagram DM. Links in the description. Get into that so you can get registered for the live music review. If you drop a comment and you have the best comment between now and the end of April, you will receive a $50 cash tag because we're giving away that. That's our monthly giveaway. But the big chili, $150, man. Drop a comment and the best comment between now and 10,000 subscribers, provided we get there before May the 14th, will help us get 10,000 subscribers for sure. We're going to give you $150. We're going to give you $150, man. And y'all been showing so much love. We are at 9,100 and some change. It's looking like we're going to get there, man. So let's continue to run these numbers up. And if we get to 10,000 before May the 14th, we will give away $150 to the top commenter. We're going to jump into this Kantiana. We got Jesse Lee Peterson. He is absolutely one of the funniest people that I've watched in a long time, man. Shout out to the Right Track, Wrong Train podcast or YouTube channel. And we're going to jump into this Kantiana, man. Without no further do's or don'ts, show you some love. We go.
Are you saying it's the fault of the white man that the black man is not in the home?
I'm not saying the white man, but it's the fault of the institution.
But the institution is white, right?
The institution majority white, so I guess you could say that.
And so it's their fault that the black man is not in his home.
Yes.
Why is the black man so weak that he will allow another man to make him leave his home?
Yo, as a single, strong black dad, I'm not offended at all by nothing you said because I'm a single dad and I got all my kids. But what the management sends me these clips for days that are slow like this. Okay, we're about to see where this is going to go.
Let me ask, Black Lives Matter, do you agree with me that it is a far left, liberal, godless, radical, agitative organization that's been created by black lesbians and homosexuals and social justice warriors, white social justice warrior, and that this organization...
Before we go, there's always somebody in the comment goes, well, he's been exposed by the gay community, blah, blah, blah. I say two things about that. Number one, to be exposed by the gay community means that you assume that to be a negative, and I'm about to break down what I mean. You can only expose somebody for doing something negative. You can never expose somebody for doing something positive. So the term exposed is oftentimes 9 times out of 10 used to out somebody for having a negative behavior. So if you're saying that he got exposed by the LGBTQ community and you are of that community, then you yourself are saying that it is wrong to be a part of that because otherwise, how could it be exposing? You feel me? For example, he got exposed for smoking crack. Well, smoking crack is bad. He got exposed for cheating on his test. Well, cheating on his test is bad. He got exposed for cheating on his wife because cheating on his wife is bad. You got exposed for dealing with the LGBTQ community. And here at TNN Trap News Network, man, we love everybody. News you can use, not just can't get in college. We love the gays, the straights, the cisgenders, the transgenders, everybody but a pedophile and the rapists. We won't do a pedos. We won't do a rapos. That's out. But anything outside of that, we got love for you, big dog. We got love for you. No hate, no hate. But to say that they got exposed by it would mean that it is, in fact, in your mind, a negative connotation because you cannot get exposed for doing anything positive. So with that being said, that's that. Number two, he already said that he don't care and he do what he do behind closed doors. So That's that. Just because he does what he does doesn't take away from the fact that what he's saying isn't absolutely hilarious and maybe even possibly true. So we finna jump back into this Contiano. Let's go.
Is worse than the KKK?
I do not agree.
Why
I do
not?
not agree. KKK was an organization for violence and
But
removing
that's what they're
people.
for too.
Black Lives Matter is not. Black Lives Matter is for creating resources and uplifting the social status of black people.
What about, what do you want, dead cops? When do you want it now? Peace in the blanket, fry them like bacon. And Black Lives Matter were chanting that. They show no concern about the black on black violence in Chicago and other places. They're only intimidating white folks to get something from them, but they show no love for blacks who are living in the ghettos and killing each other.
I don't agree. That's not true.
What have they done to show love for them?
Black Lives Matter, at least they create beautiful spaces to encourage love. Outside of most people only focus and see them in their protest space, in the public space, but that does not at all represent the entire image of Black Lives Matter itself. A lot of what they try to create are education about what resistance looks like for black people, and a lot of that is just love. Because black people really weren't at least allowed to act freely, experience freely what they wanted, and being able to do that, at least on the plantation, black people weren't allowed. On any plantation in America, black people were really, a lot of what they wanted, a lot of what is natural of a human being, black people weren't allowed to do directly.
Like what, for an example?
Loving who you want to love, being able to marry another person, simply being able to laugh, to dance, to sing, to play instruments. And Black Lives Matter has the unit of art and the Ministry of Art itself, where you have that ability.
I get the point that she's trying to make, but she sounds stupid. I get the point that she's trying to make. I get where she's trying to go with this. It's just very poorly worded. And she's saying a whole bunch of nothing like, how the fuck is this gonna help black people? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you like? I get like the freedom aspect of it, but what about like banks? What about like social structure? What about economical structure? What about economical stability? What about economic platforms? What about education platforms so we can sustain economics? The fuck is drawing a picture gonna do that? Lady, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
To have free expression.
Do you know that's not true about I grew up on a plantation.
Oh, did you?
In Alabama. My parents and their parents and their parents. My grandfather was the head of the plantation until we left in 1968. And what you just said was absolutely false. Everything you just said.
Was that a sharecropping plantation?
No.
Okay.
It was, what you just said was absolutely false.
It was a plantation, I mean, during slavery. That was, you said 1968, right?
Right, that's when I left.
Yeah. Were there
But
sharecroppers?
prior to that, my parents and their parents married whoever they wanted to marry. And they stayed together, and they had more children, their children had children. So what you just said is not true, and that's why I want you to know you've been lied to.
Well, I asked, where did the tradition
Yeah, they were
of...
sharecroppers
Did you
there,
ever...
but the plantations were owned by white people.
Yeah.
And they ran it, and you know, all the good stuff.
Yeah, so where did the tradition of jumping the broom come from?
This nigga's Uncle Tom. This nigga's for sure Uncle Tom. Oh, this nigga's Uncle Ruckus. This shit is crazy.
That would be my question.
Some mess that's made up by the black radicals. They say it came from Africa somewhere.
No,
but
it never came from Africa.
Don't they look dumb when they do that? Jumping a broom?
I mean, in America.
Would you jump
they
a
jump broom in America because they weren't allowed to
Would
officially
you jump
marry.
a broom?
I think it's an amazing
No, would you
thing.
jump a broom at your wedding?
I'm still thinking about it.
Where did you think that came from, that idea of jumping a broom?
Well, history has shown that it's actually come from Irish culture.
Right.
And slave plantation owners, like the master on the plantation, would have them do it in mockery of the fact that they didn't have real freedom to get married. And it was like, okay, here, jump a broom so you can entertain me.
Nobody jumped brooms in my family.
Okay.
They all got married.
Well, that's
no
great.
one jumped a broom. We didn't even
But that's
hear about
past
the broom
68.
thing until recently. What is cultural appropriation?
Cultural appropriation is when people are at least taking or stealing. You call it taking or stealing because there's no agreement made to use aspects of someone else's cultural practices.
So like when the black students are taking away from the white folks their money, the $40 million, and then just mad for the school, that's cultural appropriation?
No, that's not an aspect of white culture.
But they're taken from the white man.
No, there's an agreement. At least if you want to put...
What is wrong with this nigga? Like, bro, what in the Uncle Ruckus on the Boondocks is going on here? Like, all right, Jesse Lee Patterson, you a troll, bro. I get it, you a troll, but this nigga right here, boy, and she's making it worse because she has like really nothing of substance to say. Like, I get what she's trying to say, but it's not working. Words are hard. Words are hard.
In that context of an endowment, there's an agreement for us to create our own source of money from
But
our
they're not
community.
volunteering this, they're being forced to do it.
No, they're volunteer. They're volunteer. And the thing is, the university already stands in place to work with students, to work with student organizations. And so, if anything, the demand in any of the situation, there's a demand for us as student leaders to act for what our students need.
At UCLA, they have what they call safe spaces. What they call safe spaces for is black students. Is that true?
Yeah.
And so black students are now known as snowflakes.
Snowflakes.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Snowflakes, if I'm right about this, they're weak people who need their own safe space.
Oh, okay,
They're
okay.
triggered very easily.
It just means that it's a protected space.
From what though?
Meaning that you have to respect one another. It's like developing a culture
This nigga said for what though? This nigga is sick.
of respecting the person. So even if it's a space between, because we have many shared spaces between people of color and white people, and a lot of that means that if there's an issue pertaining to a certain community, respect that issue, respect the community members to be able to speak freely on that, don't overstep them on it. When we're talking to each other, it's just coming out of us love.
Being a black woman on this campus, I have always battled with the disproportionate reality of being one black and one being a Bruin. And it only revealed that on the night of October 6th of the undercover but blatant realities of how we are seen as people of color on this campus. And that, my friends, is a shame.
And this totally makes sense to you, right? It all seemed real.
I'm not sure what the point of that was, but all right, we're here.
Does.
Does racism exist?
Yes.
What's the proof of racism?
The proof of racism, the fact that there aren't black men in the home. The proof of racism is that we're only 20% of this population, but represent 75 to 80% in the prison industrial complex.
Are you saying it's the fault of the white man that the black man is not in the home?
I'm not saying the white man, but it's the fault of the institution.
But the institution is white, right?
The institution majority white, so I guess you could say
And
that.
so it's their fault that the black man is not in his home.
Yes.
Why is the black man so weak that he will allow another man to make him leave his home?
Coming in, I think I hear what you're saying, and the fact that it can be attributed to another person, the reason why they're there. But
She's doing an amazing job of maintaining her calm, though. I'll give her that.
coming in already, you could say, why are black people so weak that they allow themselves to be stripped from their own home, being stripped from Africa? There has been a culture of black people being resistant and fighting back, and since we've been on the shores of America, we've been cut down and killed and murdered and encouraged to not resist. And in the institution, black people at least have always been looking to find wherever they can succeed, wherever they can move up. And it's very difficult when with the system of criminalization.
This is so crazy, but you're totally convinced. And you're such
I've
a
been
nice,
educated.
You're like a nice girl that I would trust, not knowing that this is inside of you.
I think if you get to meet some of my friends, you'll see that I think a lot of us are very in tune and very tapped into reality. We're not crazy. We're level-headed people.
No, this is crazy.
Graduating with amazing degrees from UCLA and going to do it more.
Racism does not exist, by the way. It's an illusion. It's another lie that's been made up.
No, it definitely exists. It definitely exists. It's real. It's a tangible thing. It's what you do. It's a verb and it's a noun. Don't worry about it.
By the children
Okay.
of the deceiver.
Interchangeable for sure.
So
devil.
how is it an illusion if black people have been, oppressed and pushed down into their situations, and the fact that
Black folks were
people are
doing
taken
better
here?
before the civil rights movement than they are today because they relied on themselves. They relied on the family. They did not follow black leaders. They were not brainwashed as they are today, and so they
Not
did
necessarily.
better.
I think it's an aspect of numbers.
No.
Because once people were being integrated into communities between black and white, that's when the institution itself was able to make the system of how they did things
But
a little
that
bit more
shows the weakness
ambiguous.
of black people, though. Those black people were weak, and they're still weak. One last thing: define white supremacy for me.
Well,
Define that.
Yeah, white supremacy is the strong push for all whiteness, I guess, all white issues, and a push for
Who's pushing for that?
a push on all aspects, and it's kind of an aspect of racism, because racism isn't just a thing, it's an institution of oppressing a group of people on the basis of their cultural backgrounds, and white supremacy is like directly stemming from that. You're a white supremacist if you're acting in that way when you're aiding in the institution, like continuing in.
She's building a house, but she's not building it strong enough for him not to be able to knock it down. She's finna say all that, and he's finna have the most asshole response.
System of racism.
I think that white people have made a horrible mistake by not pushing for their whiteness over the last 50 to 60 years.
You said white people have made the mistake of not pushing for their whiteness?
Right, for their own space, and not giving in to the demand of the radical blacks, because look what has happened. I think that's starting to change because you have the alt-right and others who are now starting to stand up and fight back. So I think, but what you don't realize is that black people are turning every other culture away from them. Most cultures hate black people because they see them as angry and violent and demanding and criminals and out of wedlock birth, and just want to impose upon other people rather than being independent and doing and loving folks and doing the right thing. So your efforts are hurting you as opposed to helping. Did you know that most cultures don't like black people anymore? They don't want to be around you.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, and absolutely true. But even if you had a legitimate cause, if you had one, the attitude and the way you're doing it is hurting and not helping.
All right, so that is Jesse Lee Peterson. Yeah, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Come on, just free Avenue Angel tweets free. That was wild.